Hello, everyone. It's Ava Amantea from On the Spot Interviews, and this is my first interview of the new year, 2019. I just realized that.
Happy New Year!
Yes, Happy New Year. Today I am with the lovely
Laganja Estranja, honey darling baby boo boo.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just got back to LA from my Christmas break in San Diego yesterday, so I'm really glad we made this work. We've been trying for a couple months, and schedules have just been clashing, so I'm glad it's finally working. Yeah.
Yes, me too. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and you've been super, super busy. It seems like every night for the past month or so you've had a gig. Have you had any time off to kind of relax?
I don't really believe in time off. In fact, yesterday I did a photo shoot for like 6 hours and then went and worked a gig. So I literally got home at 3 a.m., which is why this morning I was a little sluggish getting ready. So yeah, I do. I constantly go and go. That's been my life pretty much for the last 6 years, being a drag queen. I think it's important to stay relevant in the game, and to stay relevant, you have to stay working. So yeah, I've been on the go quite a lot, which is why we're on the spot today.
Yes, yes, and thank you for wanting to do press today, even after, you've had a crazy month and 6 years in general. Do you think your experience in dance and being a professional choreographer adds to that kind of going, or do you think that it's so related to your life and your career as a drag queen that it's kind of all in one packaged together?
Well, I definitely think, my training as a choreographer, more specifically growing up in the musical theater world, I started musical theater when I was 7 years old. So I grew up in a very professional environment, and I think that's informed a lot of the decision making that I've done as a drag queen. I was always taught if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're fired. So this is something that's like ingrained into my body. And I've noticed, in the drag community, that's not quite the motto. It's more like, we'll be there when we get there and you'll wait to start the show for me because I'm the diva. So, there have been some things that I've had to get used to as a drag queen. But I think all of my training that came, previously before I started this career path did inform what I do today and was helpful, For me now, I don't look at it all as one. It is very separate for me. I teach dance as Laganja's dance school, or, I am Laganja, being the physical character, performing at night, or then there's Jay when I do the outside gigs that are, choreographing. So I do view it all very separately, but I do think it all works together.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I mean, I remember seeing you on So You Think You Can Dance. You were in drag one of the days, and then one of the days you weren't. And I think that's kind of a powerful statement if you think about it, because, sometimes people are looked at differently for talent that should have nothing really to do with looks. It's an art form. Dance is an art form, and you're showcasing yourself in these two different ways. So that's really fascinating, and I think that you made a bold statement by just going on the show and being there, because
thank you.
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you. I appreciate that. Obviously, So You Think You Can Dance was the highlight of my 2018. It was truly a wonderful experience. Unlike Drag Race, it's a lot more focused on the talent portion than the drama portion. I think most of the drama on So You Think You Can Dance is pretty real because it's dancers getting hurt. So that was just different for me, and I work better in that environment where people are more focused on what it is I can bring to the table as a performer and less as an entertainer of a television show.
Yes.
So for me, that experience, it was just really different because I didn't have producers, leading the conversation. Exactly. I was trying to choose my words very appropriately. That's what it is with Drag Race. There are story producers who come and who, lead your interviews and who help you get through certain things in the workroom. Whereas with So You Think You Can Dance, it's pretty much like they just put you on stage. They say, learn this dance, you learn the dance, you do the dance, you're either in or you're out.
Exactly.
And so for me, that opened up a whole new side because I never really thought I would do reality television again. After Drag Race, I was like, okay, this isn't for me. This isn't really the kind of environment that I make the best art in. But when the opportunity presented itself, or rather when I chose to audition for So You Think You Dance because of my, supporters on Twitter, it really did. It gave me hope that I can do reality television. So it is my plan this year in 2019 to go back and audition. I will be going as a male, as myself. because let's be honest, they don't know what non-binary is, and I'm not trying to have that conversation with So You Think You Can Dance.
It's not.
So I'm going as a male, and I'm going in contemporary, which is my true, art form, which is what I trained in my whole life up until this point. So I'm hopeful that with the story I set up last year and with the talent that I can really showcase this year without the high heels, that I'll get on.
Well, I am rooting for you. I'm a big fan of the show. So when you didn't make it, I'm like, are you serious?
I know.
Like, really?
But Top 33 is really amazing, especially since, I'm one of the oldest contestants on there. And, I haven't been training. I haven't been training like most of those young adults. Let's be real. They're teenagers.
Yeah, I think the winner was 18.
Yeah, exactly. She's amazing.
She is amazing.
They're so incredible. I got to go and see the live first taping of this season, and
I was there.
were you there?
Yes.
Yeah, it was just amazing to be there, to see the energy, to really witness the show as an audience member in the audience, because I'm a huge fan of the show too. I've watched it since season 1, at dance camps, and we would all get together and text. Remember when we used to text? The number in for who you wanted to win. So, it's been a long lineage, and I'm happy that I've got to play a part of it. And like I said, I hope I can continue it this year.
Yes, well, fingers crossed for you on that, for sure. And I'd love to touch about back to RuPaul's Drag Race. I think that the show has obviously blown up. I would say it got really popular your season, and since it transferred to VH1, anyone can watch it. You don't have to have the channel. And I think a lot of people, including myself, I'm guilty of this. We do take the drama. We don't take the drama with a grain of salt. We truly think it's, how everyone truly feels about each other, and we forget that at the end of the day, it is a reality competition show. So sometimes, there are producers who are in charge of storylines. So is there any queen, even yourself if you want to, that you think was really misunderstood because of that? Or I don't want to get you sued or anything, but just to kind of clear the air.
I think it's not exactly that simple. I think it's a very complicated subject. At the end of the day, editors have a job. Yeah. Their job is to come in, to look at footage from hours and hours and make a 40-minute episode. So, I've never been one to blame editors. I said what I said, and I own that. I also own the fact that I was 23 years old and willing to do and say anything to be a star. So, obviously I've grown, but I think that, like I said, it's their job to tell a story. And do I think that unfortunately sometimes allows for queens to be misunderstood? Yes, of course, I do. But I think that when you're given the platform you're given, if anyone has proven it, myself, you can do anything with it. People did not necessarily love me on my season, but after the last 4 or 5 years, when people have gotten to know me, they've come around and they've realized that, okay, well, maybe he isn't just always tongue popping and acting like a ridiculous, crazy person. So, I think it's what you do with the platform you're given. Now, in the case of Gia, again, I think that's more complicated than just like she's a terrible person. I think Gia knows TV. Gia is not afraid to stir the pot. And so she was playing and having a good time. And I mean, what you may interpret as terrible, I interpret as absolutely hilarious. I mean, I watched her Snatch Game and got so tickled, like, and maybe that's because she's my friend and I know her and I know all of her qualities. But again, I think it's all in how you view and what the person does with the platform.
Definitely. And you and Gia have obviously taken the platform and ran with it. I mean, just by the beginning of...
We've sashayed with it,
Sashayed with it, yes. I like that. Gosh darn it, why didn't I remember to use that word? It's okay. I'm trying to think if I can congratulate you.
Ooh,
well, I can congratulate you on everything.
Well, thank you.
But I do want to also touch a little bit on just the idea of you being a cannabis enthusiast. Is that cool?
Yeah, of
okay.
course.
So basically, I don't smoke weed, but I do use CBD oils and stuff because
Sure.
I have lupus and fibromyalgia, so I am constantly in chronic pain. And from that, I've realized the stigma has kind of gone down, not only with me using creams and whatnot, but also actually, smoking weed. So what is your hope, kind of by being so vocal about how it's helped you with anxiety and whatnot? What is your hope eventually for that to bring out to, the LA community and
Sure.
the world?
Well, I agree with you. I think it's all about changing the stigma. I mean, that's why I'm an activist. That's why, I speak about cannabis, do cannabis events, have a whole brand related around it. And that's because, I believe by living my truth and really showing people that, not just on the days that I'm working with cannabis, but every day. I always try to show like smoking responsibly. So you'll see me on my story smoke, but it's not going to be like this giant glob dab that you're like heating on a hot nail, which for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's fine. All I need you to do is picture someone smoking this crazy goop of stuff on this hot instrument. And it's just, it's a very popular thing to do because stoners find it, I guess, funny. I don't know. You can't ask me that question, but I try to be responsible. I try to educate people. I try to talk about the medicinal properties. With my music video last year, Look at Me, I tried to talk about the racial oppression that has happened within the marijuana community and with the prison system. So I try to bring light to all the different topics on cannabis and not just like the weed smoking partying character that maybe people think that Laganja is. So my hope is that we will change the stigma and that we will be federally recognized medicinally. So I actually voted no here for the recrealization. I did, because I think that if Big Pharma is allowed to just buy into marijuana and they're allowed to just like buy out all the mom and pop businesses that have been working in this field and industry for years, which is basically what happened here in California when we went recreational. A bunch of small businesses were not able to afford the licenses that they needed to continue to operate on the recreational side. So they lost their business or they had to get bought out by others. So what this does is it puts the people in charge who have money, not the people who have the knowledge of the plant or the care and the want to spread medicine. It has people who want to make money. So I feel like that's not going to change the stigma. And do I think it's great that it's recreational and you can just go get it many places? I do. People should have access to their own medicine, and I believe cannabis is a medicine. But, I just think that until we change the stigma and until the government recognizes this plant as a medicine, that's what they really need to recognize, is that this plant is actually a medicine.
With
so
healing
just like somebody gets a bottle and has a prescription, it's the same thing now with cannabis, So I do think we're getting there. I do think, more and more people are coming out of the green closet and letting people know that they smoke. Or that, just like yourself, they use CBD or some type of byproduct of cannabis to help them. But I do think it's going to take a while and potentially a different president.
Yeah, I think we're all hoping for that, and if it's, if it comes about because of this, then that's fine by me and fine by a lot of people in LA. At least we live in a very liberal area. That's the one saving grace for me, honestly.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We're very lucky. We live in a beautiful, fake beautiful bubble.
That's true. Although if you want to get out of the fakeness, just go to Disneyland, which I guess is a different county, but
a different kind of fake.
Yeah, but it's a fake that I can be all consumed with and not feel bad about it.
Exactly.
So, and the last thing I kind of wanted to touch upon, because I've been seeing it all over Instagram, is Mean Gays. And actually, one of my favorite local queens just joined the cast, Roz Dresfelez.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for that. You get to work on that with Willem and Kimchi and Peaches Christ. I know that it's not for, I guess, 2 months now. It's in March. Can you just kind of give some details on that, what you know?
So we just did our first photo shoot, which was really fun. The three of us, and when I say the three of us, I mean the four of us, Peaches Christ, Willem, and Kimchi. Of course, obviously, we all know each other, but the four of us have not been in a room together. Really? Well, I don't think so, ever, like that, at least. So it was really fun. It was the first time we've all gotten together. We got to talk about the movie and each other's characters, and I think we're all really excited because it's such a cult classic. I think definitely maybe for the younger generation, like Peaches was like, oh, sister, you're going to have to, like, help me on this one. And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course, like, That's what this is about, is collaboration. And that's why I'm so excited to be joining the production, because I think what Peaches Christ does is amazing. And for those of you who don't know what she does, she takes common movies or shows and then, you know, rips off of them and does a gayer, more fabulous version with drag queens. So they've done everything. Like, they just did Troop Beverly Hills. I mean, they've done Hocus Pocus. They've done so many classics. But what I think makes Mean Girls or Mean Gays so exciting is that it's like one of my favorite movies. So I grew up adoring this movie. I know all the lines. So I was really excited, like, to have Peaches ask me, you know, like, can you help me or whatever? Because it's like, I relate to this movie so much. I'm going to be playing Karen. So instead of being super dumb, she's going to be super stoned. Yeah, I just think it'll be really fun to get back on the stage. Last year, I was Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Picture Show in San Antonio, which was my first time back on stage singing live in, gosh, many moons. So I really enjoyed it, and I really had a great time. I got to work with Ginger Minge and Cynthia Lee Fontaine and Danny Franzese from Mean Girls. Yeah. So it was an amazing experience, and I'm looking forward to having a whole another new experience with these fabulous ladies.
Yeah, and I'm so excited. I have it in my calendar, so I will definitely be there for sure. Well, thank you so much for your time. I always like to wrap up with that shameless self-promo. Can you just plug your Instagram, Twitter? I know you have a YouTube channel. I don't know if you're still on MySpace, but I always bring that up because some people surprisingly do still use MySpace.
You're kidding.
I swear.
Well, I do have a YouTube, so definitely go and subscribe to my YouTube. I'm uploading all kinds of original content. I just did a mukbang. I have lots of dance videos. There's me diving with sharks, cageless and full drag. So there's a plethora of videos on my YouTube. And of course, I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, all at Laganja Estranja.
Yes, it's super easy.
Go buy my music on iTunes, please.
iTunes. And all streaming websites, right?
That's right.
I think it's everywhere. Yeah. I have to give all the drag queens props because they there's some way you guys make it available on literally every platform. So.
Yeah, those are our producers. Shout out to Big Snow Entertainment.
Oh, yes. Cool. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad this happened before you move. And I'll see you in LA, I guess, in 2 months or so. I'm counting down the days because you're awesome. You're so sweet. So I appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. Bye. Stay fabulous.